You are listening to a recording of the class GRA 611Z Introduction to Graduate Studies. This class was held on 22nd September 2023. Welcome, Karibuni. Good evening. Today, I want to start with just picking up on the passage I was reading last week. Now I've had more time to think about it. I was reading from Psalm 137. This passage is about Israel. They are in captivity in Babylon. Of course, they were sent there, or rather God allowed them to be captured and taken into exile because they had stopped obeying God's law, and they were oppressing people. They were destroying the temple with a lot of cynicism, which I mentioned last week. To be cynical is to just do the gestures without caring what they mean or about the ethics of what you're doing. What matters is that the optics, that you are seen to do what people say you should do, or what people expect you to do, or what you think people expect you to do. So what matters more is what you do rather than the reason, the intention for doing them. And God was really angry about that, because God was saying that the people are suffering, the orphan is suffering, the widow is suffering, and yet you people are bringing sacrifices to me and they stink, because the things you are saying you do are not what you do outside the temple. Anyway, so they're in exile. And of course, it's a very bitter place. It's very bitter to be where you are not accepted, where your customs are not honored, where you are treated like second-class citizens. And so when they start to remember, but how can we remember where we came from when we are in a strange land? How can we sing the songs? The reason why this is important for me is because, like I mentioned last week, Kenya is in a very bad place, extremely bad. I don't even know how we are going to get out of it. People just don't care. They don't care to do the right thing, and they don't care about integrity. What is integrity? Integrity means if I see you today in my class, and tomorrow morning I see you in town, there's a connection between the way you behave in my class and the way I see you behaving in town. You're not schizophrenic, and I'm sure the psychology students will soon be talking about that. You're not presenting one side of you here, and then when I see you somewhere else, you're presenting a totally different person. You're consistent. You're consistent. That's what integrity means. Integrity means whole. An integral number is a whole number as opposed to a fraction. So integrity is about wholeness. But that's not where we are as Kenyans. We present one face and do the other. One of the places where it is done a lot is in the academy, in the university. People pretend that they have done work. People pretend that this is the only class they are attending. People pretend so many things and just hope that you won't be found out. And I think for me, what I find so cynical is the lack of care about, what if Mwalimu finds out? What will I say? How will I explain this? There's no sense of, I need to at least be consistent, so that if I'm here today, there tomorrow, another place the next day, I'm basically consistent. It's the same person people are meeting. The principles are the same. Maybe I'm doing different functions, but the core, my core, what I am saying and what I am doing is basically the same. I do not contradict myself. That's what it means to have integrity. In a sense, we are in a strange land. That's what I think. We are in a strange land where integrity doesn't matter. So how can we sing the songs of integrity in a strange land? How can we sing the songs of the desire to think, to be creative, to read for ourselves? How can we do that in a country where we are rewarded for cheating? How can we do that in a country where we are punished for thinking? Many of us are probably carrying traumas and dealt traumas from high school, which is something I talk about a lot. So you've learned that reading is just about pain, it's about trauma, it's about irrelevant knowledge. So why should I do the work? Let me give somebody else to do the work. So how can we sing songs of integrity in a strange land? I have tried. I don't even now know what to do, because I'm a person who is passionate about ideas, and I'm passionate about people thinking and truth. Truth, not facts, but truth, to say, if you're hurting from your high school days or from your undergraduate days, that you at least own it. And then you say, I'm going to embark on healing, and I'm going to embark on learning how to think. Because we can't heal if we are not thinking. We can't heal if we are pretending to be what we are not when we're in class. We spend how many years? At least, 8 plus 4 plus 4 is what? Is 16. And then maybe you spend another 3 years as a master's and another 5 as a PhD. You're spending it acting out. Acting, doing what you think the lecturer wants, what the teacher wants. And of course, it comes from our school system. That one I don't refuse. I agree that, but that's what I'm saying. We're in a strange land. We're in a strange land where we can't be ourselves. We are in a strange land where the rule of the game is to cheat, is to do whatever you have to do to get papers and to get grades. You don't care whether you're being ethical. You don't care whether you're about the truth. You're just like, I'm doing what I have to do to get the paper. That's the strange land we are in. So how can I persuade you to do the work correctly, to actually read the things I give you to read in a country where knowledge doesn't matter? How do we sing that song in a strange land? That's my challenge to you throughout the semester. I want you to really think about it. How will you be able to read in a country where reading is disparaged? How will you be able to think when you're told that's theory, it's useless? How will you be proud of the work you do when you're being told it doesn't solve problems? How will you sing a song of integrity, of knowledge, of care when Kenya is a cruel country? That's what I'm asking. How will you sing that song? Me, I still sing it. I feel alone, and it's a very lonely place to be. I was so traumatized that my students could use ChatGPT. So traumatized, even when I told them that the point of this exercise is for you to learn how to write. In fact, I'm not looking for perfection. Instead, I got fake perfection. Papers that sound like they are just bad papers. They are grammatically correct. All the citations are in place and what, but it's an empty, soulless, bland, boring, tasteless paper. And somebody actually sends it to me thinking that I will be impressed. In fact, that's the part that hurt me. I'm like, Yani, you don't know me. You've not even bothered to know what kind of a person I am. I don't get impressed by those things. I sang a song and I was alone. I was in a strange land. So I don't know if you're one of us who are going to sing these songs, the songs of integrity, the songs of knowledge, the songs of care, the songs of ethics, what song are you singing? Or are you just going to become like the strangers and be cynical? I'm saying that because now, coming to the class, I have put the course outline on the portal. It seems that, like I said, we are living in a strange land. No matter what I say, the world outside, their message is more powerful than mine. But I'm not going to mark ChatGPT work. I'm not going to mark work that has been given to somebody and then I'm correcting. Do you know why it is so hurtful when students do that? It's not even the cheating. It's the thing of, I'm here to help you write better. But you're giving me work which you bought from somebody or ordered from somebody. So when I'm correcting, I'm not correcting your work, I'm correcting somebody else's work. So you'll take my corrections, take them to that person, and then that person becomes a better writer, but that person is not in my class. So what am I doing here? I'm teaching people outside this class because the people in my class are paying the others. That's what you call clearing and forwarding. You've reduced yourself to a pipeline, a vessel, where you don't learn, it's somebody else that I am teaching. And your job is just to be the vessel. And if you want to help this country, imagine that's where our country is stuck. We are stuck at being a pipeline. We are stuck at processing other people's goods, at selling other people's goods, at being the gateway to the rest of the region. The rest of the region is inventing. They have music, they have culture, we've become a clearing and forwarding country. Our job is to just pass on, to receive from the West, and then we pass on to the rest of Africa. That's how even my classes have become. I give knowledge, the students pass it on to the writers do the work. So it's me who is training those writers, but not directly. I'm training them through the students. That's where our country is. We've become so cynical, so empty. We've reduced ourselves to pipelines. So are we going to sing a song in a strange land, or are we just going to sing the song of strangers? Which is now what has been happening. We are singing the songs of strangers. And that's why Kenya is crumbling, because we don't know how to be genuine with each other. We are so used to being pipelines. We don't even know who we are. Please, I'm not talking about ethnicity. I'm talking about truth, our relation to truth and reality. We don't have it because we are used to being a pipeline for others. We are used to doing things for the sake of it, for the optics, but not really taking time to think about what we are doing. I need to protect my heart. I cannot be broken like that. That was really, really painful. It really, really, no, I don't want. Because I'm so genuine. I come genuinely, and then people are faking it until they are making it. I can't do that. Let me try and protect myself to the best I can. This problem isn't your fault. It's a societal problem. So what I am trying to say is not as powerful and as loud as what people are hearing outside. And so no matter what I say, my voice is competing with what you're hearing outside, and eventually the other one will win. Society always wins over what we are saying, because that's what I was saying. This is a societal problem. The message of society is do what you have to do to get ahead. That's what Kenya is right now. And that's why I was saying we are in a strange land. What I noticed is that the message of ChatGPT is being promoted by the media. So it's not even just the students who are feeling they have to copy. It's the media that is encouraging them. Every week there is an article covertly praising ChatGPT and saying that ChatGPT will solve all our problems. Like the other day, somebody was saying AI will help farmers produce more food. I mean, come on. So there is a very strong message in the media that ChatGPT is the way to go. I was looking for some information on course outlines. I was just looking for a picture, and one of the results I got was use AI to write your course outline. This thing is everywhere. This pro ChatGPT message is everywhere. I can't compete with it. I don't want to compete with it anymore. That voice is louder than mine. In fact, when I talked about it last semester, one student told me she's working in a ministry and they were just being trained on how to use AI. I mean, the message is overwhelming. And I think it's overwhelming because the principal investor has many networks in the media. In fact, if you search on Google, the first 3 pages of results are in his favor. They have to make money from it. How can I compete? I can't. He has more resources than I have. So his message is louder, it's more frequent. And that's what is the strange land. We are in a strange land where the people whose business interests are huge and more important than our welfare are louder than the rest of us. But I'll tell you at the end of the class what I'm thinking of us doing. I'm also starting to think that maybe writing isn't that important. Writing is an imposition of power. I've started reading about that. Writing is brought to impose certain ways of knowing. And since we are always showing off about being oral, we'll do oral work. Yeah. Since we are Africans, this should be okay. So today I want to talk about 2 things, and then I'll talk about what I want to do with this class. The first thing I want to do, and this is something I want to talk about, and this is something I want you to pay attention, because one of the major assignments will come from this, what I'm talking about now. I want to talk about types of academic literature. Every information can come into an academic paper. It doesn't have to have been published by academics. Again, we are living in a strange land where we are told we can't bring our personal experiences. We cannot cite anything that's not written for scholars. I don't agree with that, but it's up to you to negotiate with that when you're doing your thesis. So there's a difference between academic publications and non-academic publications. And the only difference is the audience. I'm going to talk about blogs, podcasts, videos, a newspaper, all these things. As long as they are targeted at an audience that is academic, meaning people who are studying deliberately in a certain field, then that publication is academic. So I'm just going to talk about 8 types of publications. And I want you to, this is important because I will be asking you to write for me a bibliography based on what I am saying. So these are the types of academic literature. Like I said, the only thing that distinguishes this literature from any other literature is the audience. The audience is basically people who are either in the university or people who are pursuing studies that are very detailed. So we have the term papers, which are the papers which you write in class. Again, one of the unfortunate things is that term papers is a good way of producing material that you can use in your application for jobs and grants after you graduate. But now, yeah, people are buying. But I remember I had a student who was applying for a fellowship, and one of the things they asked for was, give us a sample of some of the writing you did when you were a student. And she had nothing. So term papers are a good way. I have gotten my students who write term papers fairly well. They have published them. There's one student right now who is publishing a paper which he wrote in my class. So we do that, but now, okay, I have accepted that this is not a viable option anymore. But term papers are good resources of information. We have the thesis, which is what you write in your master's or the dissertation. Daystar puts them online. There are a lot of good theses and dissertations online from public universities. You should use them, consult them. Please don't copy, but we'll talk about how not to copy later in the semester. Then you have peer-reviewed journal articles. Peer-reviewed journals are journals where this is the process by which articles are published. If I write an article, I send it to a journal. The journal gets other academics, peers. That's why it's called peers. They get other academics to read my paper and to say whether my paper is good enough to be published in the journal. That's what you call peer-reviewed. And then when they say yes, because a lot of times they say no, When they say yes, the paper is returned to me with the edits and the corrections. I correct it and then I send it back to the journal and they publish. So that's why it's called peer-reviewed journal articles. In the university, they are some of the most prestigious. They are almost more prestigious than books because of the rigor it takes for you to get your article published. Then you have books, academic books, which are written by academics. One of the more famous academic books in Kenya is the Caroline Elkins one on the Mau Mau. What was it called? Imperial Reckoning, where she talks about the concentration camps, Britain's Gulag. So that's an academic book, but it became popular because of the kind of materials that she was presenting, the interviews she conducted. So it became an award-winning book, and it was very popular in Kenya as well. Then you have edited books. Edited books are where the books are chapters by different writers. And I'm mentioning this because sometimes when you're writing your thesis, if you cite just a chapter, the person you cite is the author of the chapter first. So you say this chapter is by so-and-so in a book edited by so-and-so. You must give both authors. Then you have book reviews. Book reviews are very good materials for you if you are reading, for example, if you're reading books, an academic book. Sometimes academic books can be long. So sometimes you want to see what did other people say about that book. That's a book review. I'm going to show you all this just now. Then you have newsletters and blogs. Newsletters and blogs are kind of less formal. They don't have a lot of citations as much as the books and chapters and journals. But usually authors write them on a topical issue that is current. Because if you were to send an article to a journal, it takes about 6 months between when I first send it and then going through the pipeline. Sometimes it takes up to it can take up to 6 months or a year before it's published. So sometimes academics want to write. They want to write about something that is happening currently, but they don't have time to do all the peer review and the what. So they write on blogs. I have a blog myself, or they write in newsletters, and I'll just show you one. And then you have videos and podcasts. These days, a lot of universities are recording their lectures, public lectures. Daystar is doing that. In fact, I've just remembered there's a lecture I want you to watch. So those are very good resources of academic work. So academic work is not limited to just the writing. There are also audiovisual materials that you can use. I want to show you what journal articles look like. Then I hope I'll be able to finish with books. And what I want you to do is, towards the end of the semester, I'll give you more instructions, is to, after you organize a topic, you look for all the resources that fall in each of these categories. You have just been listening to a recording of the class GRA 611Z, Introduction to Graduate Studies. This class was held on 22nd September 2023. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.